welcome to the WOOLapyk Podcast. This is a podcast. Let's try again. Hello and welcome to the WOOLapyk Podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, and my name is Ida. Welcome if you're new, and welcome back if you're returning. I was about to say it's been a while since I did a podcast, but actually I think, was it last month I put one up on YouTube? It hasn't been that long ago. I have just been really feeling like I wanted to do a podcast. So Anton, my little boy, is taking a nap, and Jakob, my husband, is watching Formula 1, like car racing thing, and he promised Esther that she could watch iPad while he was watching that. So I know that she's gonna be very preoccupied with her iPad time. And Freya is upstairs doing probably something on her phone. So Jakob is my husband, Esther is my daughter, and Freya is Jakob's daughter. So a quick introduction: we live in Denmark, and I hope you will enjoy this podcast. I have brought one thing that I have finished. Then I've brought two other things that I also have finished, but those are also some projects that I talk about on my Patreon. So if you're a Patreon, you've already seen this. I just wanted to bring it onto the regular podcast as well, because I thought, maybe somebody, or maybe you would like watching, or maybe people that are not on Patreon would like to see it as well. I'm not gonna talk too much about it in detail, but I just wanted to show it. I just wanted to show it to you. Then I have a project that's almost done, which just needs buttons, and a work in progress. So I think I'm gonna start with the first finished object that I just have finished, and that I also haven't talked about on Patreon. So this is the project. As you can see, this is a sweet little vest. It's gonna be for my boy. He is 5 months old very soon. 4 days time he'll be 5 months. This was originally supposed to be for me. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen that I have been knitting on the Ripple bralette by Jessie May, and it was something that I was really excited about. I have not really been enjoying wearing what's that called? Bras. I don't know what that was. I haven't been enjoying wearing bras actually since I got pregnant with Anton. So I would much rather wear really tight fitting tops. That just suits me better. So I thought the bralette by Jessie May would be perfect for that. So I got the pattern, I got the yarn ready, beautiful yarn by Little Lionhead Knits, Colleen, and started knitting. So it's a DK weight version that I wanted to knit. So I just and the yarn I'm using is a fingering weight yarn. I just decided to hold a double, figured out that I didn't do a gauge swatch. I thought, I just didn't want to do one. Doing a gauge swatch in ribbing can be quite hard, I find, and since it was a smaller project, I figured it wouldn't really matter. I could just rip it back if it didn't fit me. So I knitted quite a bit on it. I would say maybe 10-12 centimeters, and then I looked at it and it was just tiny. Like, it was way too small, and at that point I just didn't feel like ripping it back, even though that's originally what I thought I would do, because I didn't feel like it. I felt like it was a waste of time. So I just decided to make it into a vest for Anton, which is this. So this was supposed to be the Ripple bralette. You can see it is stretchy, but it's not stretchy enough for me to wear. So I just continued in the ribbing. This is a 3x3 ribbing. I mean, you have twisted stitches here in the bottom, and then you do 3x3 ribbing. And I found a pattern for a baby vest, or well, a size 1 for a 1-year-old, and I just followed the directions for like the length of the body and the length of the armhole. I think the armhole is a little bigger than what the pattern that I looked at. And then I just made him a vest. It has an open front here, so it's easy to get over his head. On the back, I ran out of yarn eventually, so I added in some of my own hand-dyed yarn. This is Snowman. Thank you, Pernille. I couldn't remember on Patreon. I was like, I can't remember the colorway, but it's Snowman, which is for, is that from the 2019 advent calendar? Or maybe it's a 2020. It's an advent calendar colorway. So I just substituted that in here, and I think it works quite well. It is sort of the same color scheme as the original yarn. I mean, obviously there are more colors in here, but yeah, I think it's, I mean, I'm quite happy with the outcome, you know, all things considered. I think I did quite a good job on this, also considering I didn't really use a pattern or anything. What else is there to say? Oh yeah, the yarn, like I said, it's beautiful yarn by Little Lionhead Knits, and this is the Hints of Autumn colorway on her merino nylon base, and it's just very, very pretty. And then on the back here you can see Snowman. Again, this is also 2 strands held together. Yeah, so I'm looking at it now. I don't know if he'll be able to fit this for that long. It's very warm right now, so he's definitely not wearing it now, and he's a very warm kid. Yeah, so I hope he'll be able to fit into this in autumn. Otherwise, I have a gift for another little friend, I guess. So that's the, yeah, Rebel bralette turned into a vest for a 1-year-old. I'm drinking kombucha that I brewed myself, and it is delicious. I really, really enjoy it. So if you haven't tried brewing kombucha, definitely try it out if you like it. It's very simple. So yeah. Then I have another thing for Anton, which I have showed on the Patreon, so but I want to show it here as well. It has been placed in a little basket, and Jakob has just sort of thrown it in there, so it's a little wrinkly. He definitely does not appreciate hand knits the way that I do. But this is the cardigan from a Danish pattern called Hurtigt Hentesæt by Lene Holme Samsø, and it is in her newest little booklet. I think it's booklet number 5 maybe. So it's just a very simple knitted cardigan. It's knit top down, and I used a Yngling yarn. Can't remember if it's number 1 or number 2. It's the fine merino one, so it's very, very soft. Just a very nice neutral gray to go with anything that he's wearing. I knit this for him as sort of a layering piece when we were out and about. It looks quite small right now, actually. I think he could definitely wear it now. He is, like I said, he's 5 months old in a couple of days, but he wears a size 80 and 86, and like a Danish size 80-86, which is, I think it's the same as 12 to 18 months, like in the US size system, so 12 to 18 months, and he's 5 months, so he's a very big boy. And yeah, he can, I'm sure he can fit this now. So maybe he's also not gonna fit into this, I don't know. He just grows like weed. He is insane with the growing part. We have a nurse who comes visiting every so often just to check on him and see how he's growing and things like that. And she was very impressed with his how he grows and with I'm breastfeeding him with the milk that I produce for him, because he's a very big boy, and he sleeps very well at night, and which means that there's enough calories in my milk for him to sleep, otherwise he would wake up and be hungry, basically. So yeah, Jaco and I was laughing because she talked a lot about that milk. But yeah, but he's big and healthy, so that's good. And then I have what's that called? Winter Hood by Knitting for Olive. I finished that right before Anton was born, so that was in maybe beginning of February, I think. You will also have seen pictures of this on Instagram, I'm sure. But this is the yeah, like I said, Winter Hood by Knitting for Olive, Vinterhætte in Danish. And I knit this using, again, Knitting for Olive, not Yndling number 2 again, for the front and back here. Let me show you. So you put it on like this, front and back. And then I added in, I was running out of that. I actually wanted to knit the whole thing in this, using 2 strands of this, but I ran out of that, or I could see that I was running out of it. So I substituted 1 strand for a silk mohair, which is an ESF silk mohair that I had laying around. And that's what I knit the hood for, or with. Which was fine. I think the whole pattern actually calls for a strand of woolly yarn and then a strand of silk mohair. But I knew that I was going to wear this when I was carrying Anton around in the sling or the carrier, and I wanted him to have a nice soft place to rest his head. I didn't want him to have to like rest onto silk mohair, because he's gonna get that into his mouth and eyes and things like that. It's just, we all know it's not super nice to have that like right in your face. So yeah, and this has like been really good. It was really good for those like February, March, when I had him in the carrier and it was still quite cold, because it kept me nice and warm on my chest, which sometimes if you carry your kid, like if you carry your baby, I'm sure you know this problem, but when you have your baby on you, and if you were, for example, wearing a shirt or dress like this and it's quite cold, then it's hard to sort of get this area covered because you have your baby's head here. Like you can't really just put on a scarf or something, because that's going to be in the way for the baby. But this was perfect because that was just underneath. It wasn't bulky or anything, and I was nice and warm, he was warm, and had a nice soft place to sleep. So yeah, this has been, I obviously haven't worn it this summer because it's been so hot, but for the cooler months this has been good. It's also less, it takes up less space when you're out, for example, in comparison to a scarf. So if you don't really know if the weather is like how cold it's gonna be, for me at least, I like to bring this because it's not that big compared to like a big huge scarf. So nice for traveling light, I guess. Okay, I think I'm just gonna pause the video for a second. Okay, the next thing I have to show you only needs buttons, so it's almost done. It's right here. So this is my Novice Cardigan Mohair Edition by Petite Knit. I knit this using 1 strand of my own hand-dyed yarn, which is WOOLapyk silk mohair in the October Mornings colorway, and then just a strand of white silk mohair. I do wish that I had decided knitting it with 2 strands of the October Mornings colorway. I think I would have liked that better. It's not like I don't like this, but I think just a little bit more color on here would have been nice. I think I would have, yeah, that would just look nice, I think. But the whole reason that I began knitting this with a strand of white silk mohair instead of two, the whole reason I began knitting this with a strand of my own hand-dyed yarn and then just a strand of white silk mohair was because I wanted to bring this, or I intended to bring this as a sample to when I was selling yarn, back when I was selling yarn. I'm on maternity leave now and I don't really know what's going to happen once I'm done being on maternity leave. But I knit this using 2 skeins of my own hand-dyed yarn and then 2 skeins of white silk mohair. And that is just cheaper than having to buy 4 skeins of hand-dyed silk mohair. That's just a really, really pricey thing to buy. I mean, hand-dyed yarn is expensive for good reason. It's a lot of work, but it is expensive. And so I wanted to sort of show an alternative that you could still knit this in hand-dyed yarn, but substituting half of it with like a commercial white silk mohair or any other color just make it a little cheaper. But anyways, for myself, I wish that I had just used the 2 strands of hand-dyed yarn. That being said, I really do think it turned out quite nice, and I used up exactly 2 skeins of hand-dyed yarn for a size medium. I did knit the body a little shorter just because that's kind of what I like. The body is longer in the pattern. I just wanted it to hit like right at my hip. I ran out of yarn doing the button band, like one of the button bands, and I actually ended up cutting out all the extra little, like weaving in the ends everywhere and then using those like the extra yarn that I had there, just knotting them together, and that way I had enough for finishing the bottom bands. I also bound off in just 2 strands of white instead of with the hand-dyed yarn, and I knit the button band 2 rows shorter on each one. So I really did the very best and absolutely used everything of the yarn. I have a gauge watch somewhere, I just couldn't find it, but I could have also just have used my gauge watch for the rest of it. But it worked out in the end, so everything's good. I did alternate skeins for the body down here. I didn't do that on the top, so you can see that there is a slight color difference. There are the skein down here has a bit more saturated colors on the top part. I knew that going into it. It doesn't bother me, I don't care. And I knew that because there is a lot of decreasing here on the yoke, that there wouldn't be any pooling, so I didn't bother doing any sort of alternating of skeins. I did alternate a bit on the sleeves and also, like I said, here down on the body. I have washed this in my own wool wash that I used for the 2020 advent calendar. There was a wool wash in there that I did in collaboration with a soap maker in Roskilde, where I live. And this is the first time that I have just washed it without, like, I've soaked it but I haven't rinsed it. And I've done that all the other times, and I would say definitely rinse this after you soak it, because I can feel the lanolin, which is fine. I just would have it's just a little sticky. And I think maybe it may also be because this is silk mohair, and maybe it's quite nice to just not rinse it when you are using that wool wash for a woolier yarn. But for silk mohair, I would soak it and then just do it like one simple rinse, and I think that would be fine. So I think I'm gonna maybe just do a quick rinse on this before I start wearing it. The buttons I have not ordered yet, but I will order soon. I have found the perfect ones, like black ones with a sort of gold center. I think they would be are gonna be so nice on this, because this one has those little dark, very dark, almost black, dark brown black specks on here, and also the golden specks. I think that would be just very elegant for this cardigan. I'm so happy this is done. To be honest, it's just, I started on this, was that last year? I have quite a few works in progress that I have just been laying around, and I just these last few months I've been feeling like I needed to get those out of my knitting space that I have in my head. Like, I needed to make room for new projects, and so that one's almost done once the buttons are on there, and that just feels so nice. I also worked a bit on this thing, which is also a I'm mid-row. Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit while I am knitting to the end here. But this is also a project that has been laying around for more than a year. I think it's more than a year ago since I knit on this last time. But it is a scarf or shawl, and originally I planned on making this as a pattern, and I don't know if I've shown it off on the podcast, because like I said, I wanted it to be a pattern, and yeah, maybe I just didn't want to show it to you before I had finished it. I don't know, I can't remember. But like I said, it's gonna be a triangular shawl. My original plans was that I would do intarsia, which I've never done before, but I wanted to do intarsia with 2 different colors. Obviously, intarsia you always use 2 different colors, but I wanted to do like a intarsia for the when switching from one color to the other, and I wanted to do triangular shapes, as far as I remember. It's been such a long time ago, and I cannot remember like a lot about this pattern. But I think that was my original plan. I think now I'm just gonna do I'm not gonna do intarsia, but I'm probably just gonna add that second color onto the end, and do a rapid decrease, so it's gonna be triangular shape, but not what's that called? It's not gonna be even, so it's like, this is like a regular triangular shape, but I want it to be longer on this side and shorter on that side. I don't know what you call that. And then I'm gonna add a tassel at the end, and maybe also at the sides. Yeah, that's the plan. And I am now at the end almost. The colors I'm using is this color right here, is called Beachcomber, and I love this colorway. I think it's so pretty. So you can see I just have been knitting and increasing on every other row, and I've been doing some eyelet holes, just a very simple pattern, but also one that I think I will enjoy wearing actually. It's, like I said, I like the color and I like the shape so far. I'm using both a strand of silk mohair here and also a strand of merino nylon. These are also WOOLapyk yarns, and both of them are Beachcomber. I don't know if you can see. This is one of the colorways that I'm just really proud of. I just really like how muted it is, but it still has quite a lot of colors in there. It's just very pretty and also quite neutral, I find. The blue I'm gonna add in are these 2, which I basically just dyed them up for this roll, and I don't really have anything left of this, but I really like these 2. I love the blue on the silk mohair. I really like that color. It's a little more muted on the silk mohair, on the merino nylon. So once I have knitted up the rest of this, I'm just gonna cake these up and knit them. The windows are open and there are some kids running around outside. I hope it's not gonna be too noisy. Okay. One last thing I wanted to show before I am done talking is this skein of yarn, which is what I'm now planning on using for my ribble bralette, because there will be another one and it's gonna be in this, and I think this is like Bulgaria fiber yarn, one's like from way back when she dyed yarn. I really like that. I think that's gonna be a pretty little bralette for me. I'm also knitting on a t-shirt from Helga Isa. I just didn't bring it in here, but that's also one that if you watched my podcast last year, it's like a yellow, very light yellow t-shirt that I'm working on, and I just picked that up 3 or 4 days ago. I'm hoping to get that finished too, because that way I have like the cardigan is now almost finished. I have the shawl that I'm working on. I have and then I have that t-shirt, and I just really want to get those out of the way. And then casting this on, I also have a test knit that I'm going to do, which is for a top, and then I really want to knit, did I bring that? Yeah, I want to knit Anton another Friday sweater. I knit one for him in the smallest size, and he wore that 3 times because he was a giant baby, but I really like that pattern. And I have this gorgeous yarn, and I think it would be such a pretty Friday sweater. So this would be obviously the main color for the body, and this would be the stripes. And I don't know, I really like most of his clothes is quite muted, but I kind of like bright colors for boys. I think that's quite cool. So I hope I have enough. Like I said, he's such a big boy, and I'm not sure that 100 grams of yarn is going to be enough for him, because I would have to knit him at a size, I'm gonna have to look at the measurements, but I'm thinking at least a size 12 months old. But I think it would be on the safe side to just knit him a size 18 months old, and I could just roll up the sleeves if they're a bit too big. And I don't think 100 grams is going to be enough for that. Maybe it is. So I used 2 skeins of yarn for 2 skeins of 100 gram yarns for my novice cardigan. Yeah, so if I knit a cardigan like the novice cardigan in a size medium, where where the length isn't too long, so like on the shorter side, I think I could do that with 2 skeins of 100, like, so 200 grams of yarn. So this should be enough for like 18 months size sweater. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at the yarn requirements, but yeah, I think that would just be such a cute, fun little sweater for him. Oh, and the yarn is, again, Little Lionhead Knits in the white Christmas colorway. We did a swap, not last year, but the year before, Colleen and I, and this was one of the colorways, and it's so pretty. So, yeah. I think that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you are having a wonderful summer. It's finally cooled down just a tiny bit here today, so I'm really enjoying that, because I'm not good with the heat. I don't know if it's because I'm breastfeeding, because I feel like I used to be better at sort of being in warm weather, but yeah, it's just not been fun. And also because you have a baby and the baby is breastfeeding, so I feel like I have him on me a lot, and it's just very, very hot and sticky for both of us. So I'm just glad that it's just a little colder today. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments or anything, you can leave them under the video. I really like when you do that. Or you can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's also a way for other people to find the video. Enjoy your summer, and I will talk to you whenever I find the time. Bye.